Are you?
Yes.
At least mature.
Who's the old?
Yeah.
Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star-Telegram.
Really?
What is the plan for Dak today? Will he be in the rehab group, do quarterback school?
Dak Prescott will be in the rehab group to start off with, but then he'll go through quarterback school, and he will do some light throwing at the end of practice.
Mike McCarthy, Dallas Morning News.
You done?
No,
Nothing.
I was going to follow.
Well,
There's a long delay, I didn't know.
Well, has he cut it loose at all yet, or this would be just light throwing? This is a process of ramping up to cutting it loose.
you want me to repeat my answer? He will do light throwing after practice. Yeah, I mean, first time he's going to throw to some receivers at the end of practice.
Okay, that's what we got.
Michael Galkin, Dallas Morning News. Any team drills as part of that light throwing? Final clarity there.
Dak Prescott will go through the quarterback school, the movement drills and so forth, and he'll do some light throwing at the end of practice to the receivers.
Todd Archer, ESPN. Will he have to wear that splint, or you think he'll be splint-free as he's throwing, or any added protection for that stuff?
I'm not sure. I know he didn't have the splint on just coming from the walkthrough, so I don't think he'll have this. No, I don't see him wearing the splint.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Moving to someone else, Micah Parsons. What's the plan for him this week? I know he's got a little groin thing.
I mean, I would put Mike in a limited, practice mindset. Just being smart with him today. Obviously, this is a Wednesday practice, Shell's practice. So I mean, he will take what's needed today.
Will DeMarcus also be limited? I know he had a little
Yeah,
thing.
actually, him and DeMarcus in the same category. Thank you.
Mike Fisher, SI Foundation. Given your stated policy that you'd like Dak to play a full week, pads and all, today doesn't constitute that, correct?
Correct.
Number one. And number two, how much bend do you have in your policy?
Well, I think just like anything, I think we're still in the medical rehab, phase. And so once he clears this phase, and then when he's fully activated, then I think that's when we have our conversation.
Todd? So, as you stand here right now, Cooper is starting Sunday against the Eagles. The way that it's shaping up.
We are preparing for Cooper to start against the Eagles.
He had a doctor's appointment yesterday. Anything you can? Was he clear?
Yeah, I mean it's improving, and this is really what the plan came out of the doctor's appointment. Well, it wasn't. Sorry, not doctor. It was an evaluation Monday. Yeah.
Monday, not yesterday?
No, it was actually Monday afternoon. Yeah.
Ian Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. Mike, this is a rivalry with the Eagles that's long-standing in this organization. In your experience, just how elevated is it when you're playing, your rival? They're undefeated. You guys have something to prove. What's that environment, I guess, like going into?
I mean, this is a great game to compete in. I think anytime you have division games and rivalry games, and the history, and and we'll definitely educate our younger players on with their the arena that they're getting ready to compete in. Pulling into Philadelphia at the stadium is a unique experience. So I mean, it's all part of it. I've always enjoyed it. So, but this is a game obviously means a lot. Both teams are, they're undefeated. We're 4-1. So I mean, all that plays into it. But the division games to me are always the most fun, most competitive. So that's what we're preparing for.
Great.
Babe Lawford, Cowboys Radio. You ever got less out of a team that you played twice last year in terms of looking at what they did? Because you had them week 3, obviously, and then week 18 they basically played their
Well, that's an excellent point. Frankly, we didn't even use the last game. So, we obviously looked at week 3, and I think just like anything where we are in the season, they've played 5 games. So, and that's really where our primary focus has been.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. What is the addition of A.J. Brown meant for their offense?
Oh, I think AJ's been an excellent addition. I think just you look at the way they use him. I think now the way he complements the other perimeter players. So, his physicality, he can get down in there and definitely helps him in the action game. The ability to make the big plays off of that. So, I think he's been an excellent add.
Scott Dixon with the AP. Winning the way you guys have been winning, if you had not been winning, would this be a different conversation with Dak, or would it be strictly medical even if he's lost the last?
I don't think so. No, I really don't. You got to trust the medical process. I mean, this is a 17-game season. That was my, my immediate response. I know Dak didn't want to hear it, but it's we got to make sure that he's right for the long haul too. So not that I'm saying we're being conservative, because I mean it doesn't really line up with him and the way he approaches, preparing for the play. But yeah, this really is following the medical timeline, and he's doing all the things you could possibly do and more to get ready. But yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it would change from my view.
Kelvin has developed into one of your better special teamers. What's it been like to see him come into his own in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin has done an excellent job on special teams. I think just really the whole competitive nature of Kelvin and CJ. I mean, I've how many times I go back to the Washington game? How many times you see both your gunners get doubled? I think that speaks volumes of the respect that both those guys are given, and obviously the matchup CJ had out there in LA. So just very, very pleased with what Kelvin's doing on special teams.
John Michaud, The Athletic. What have you seen from Jalen Hurts on film? Is he significantly better than he was last year? And if so, what areas do you think he's improved on?
Yeah, I mean, really like Jalen. Obviously, we liked him coming out. Had a good grade on him, but he's, I think the biggest thing, he's definitely progressing. So I think you definitely can see the comfort that he has in the offense. I mean, this is a well-oiled offense, and I think now, with that offensive line, their ability to run the ball, they're playing fast. I mean, if you look at their play numbers, I mean, statistically, they're top in the league, near the top of the league in a number of categories, both offensively and defensively. So, I mean, this is a football team that's been very productive in their first 5 games, and Jalen's a huge part of that.
Priya Marine, this SI, you've worked with a ton of different coaches over your career. What is it about Dan Quinn that's really working so obviously well with this group?
A number of things. I mean, I think when you look at, your fellow coaches, I mean, you start with the personal side. Dan does a great job of connecting. I mean, he's been an excellent asset for me personally and for everybody. He has a wealth of experience. He's done it for a long time. He's done it at different places. He's done it in different schemes, different systems. So, all those things are beneficial. But pure football coach, he's at it every day, extremely consistent. I think just like anything, when you're building a staff, you're looking for like-minded individuals, but you're also looking for the diversity that he brings to the table, because I think it helps all of us. So, and that's something I like to think we have throughout our staff. And when you look at our staff, with the level of experience, and then you have guys that have some experience, and then you have your young guys. So I really like the dynamics of the staff, and Dan does a great job.
Mike Edwarder, ESPN. I have 2 questions. The first of which is, the Eagles are 5th in the NFL in scoring. Your defense has been so dominant that you haven't really had to score a lot of points in any game. What's your level of confidence that you can score if you need to with Cooper Rush?
Yeah, first off, sorry to hear about the passing of your father. But I think as you look at this game, and when you look at the numbers, that's what I do Monday, and you look at how many points do you think you need to score, how much you think you can hold them to. But let's be honest, our calling card over the past month has been complimentary football. So, and that's going to be an important part of this game. And we're going to have to do our part offensively. And we feel like we have an excellent plan, and we're just really getting going, today with it. And but we need to take a step offensively in the area of production, particularly in points. So we recognize that, and defensively, this is a huge challenge. I mean, just just look at the number of plays and how fast they're playing, and this offense will really has stressed everybody to the point. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
My second question is along the lines of the Jalen Hurts point that was brought up earlier. How unique is what the Eagles do offensively in the league right now with all the RPOs and the willingness to run the quarterback?
Yeah, definitely. They stress you by alignment. They stress you, schematically, and they ultimately can stress you because the quarterback is a primary ball carrier too, with ability wise. So, and then from that, I'm just talking about running the ball. And then from that, all the action that comes off of that. So, very, very difficult team, especially on first and second down, to compete against. There's a uniqueness. Frankly, practice today is huge for us, particularly from a look team standpoint, because we got to give our defense that look. But this is probably the most unique challenge, both schematically and athletically, in the skill of the perimeter players that we've had this year.
Is it hard to find someone to simulate what Hurts does for you guys?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's. I think the most important thing is is the fits and the speed. And, the pre-snap is going to be crucial. Anytime you're playing on the road, and frankly, just to complement our football team. I mean, they're playing the game in LA and have both teams using silent count. And if you look at the mannerisms, particularly the freedom that the offensive linemen are able to have a little more this year than I've seen. There's an increased focus that needs to happen. So I think that's the biggest part, just to make sure we're in clean communication, our pace of operation where it is, and then at the end of the day that we're a step ahead of them, when the ball snaps. So and they really challenge you in that area.
One more, if I may. How much did Kelvin Joseph have to rebuild trust in this building just based off what happened in the summer?
Oh no, I mean I think it's. I mean I think the answer is obvious. I mean it's definitely anytime individuals go through a situation, there's always a process with that, and and I think those are part of your culture and part of the experiences that you go through as a football team.
Cooper has obviously been in some big games, played both Super Bowl teams from last year. This is a little bit different division showdown, first place on the line, hot quarterback and team on the other side. What confidence do you have in him based on what he showed you so far going into a game like this?
Well, I mean, I got a tremendous amount of confidence in Cooper Rush, and I think the most important focus for Cooper is just to stay true to the plan. And I think that's a huge strength of his. We're not going to ask him to go out there and throw it 60 times a game, and those types of things. So he's very intelligent, instinctive, aware, and definitely and their defense is playing at a high level too. So there's definitely some schematic challenges, particularly in first and second down. So we got to be on top of that. I mean, the pressure is up compared to some of the teams we've played in the past. So we got to be on top of that. But Cooper's just got to stay within himself.
Mike, with the roughing the passer penalties we've seen here the last week or so, have you said anything to your guys about, hey, you got to watch this, or do you not want to put that in their mind that it might take away some of their aggressiveness?
No, absolutely. I think a part of my job is to stay on top of the trends that are going on in the National Football League, and and the officiating trends are part of it. So and I know we have John Hussey and his crew this this week, and you look at those things. So I mean, to me, that's really part of the normal. That happens every week. So and I just think that you have to be on, as I already said, on top of it, and just make sure it's addressed and so forth. But you don't want to slow your players down either. So I mean, we're not going to, we're not going to play the way we normally play. I mean, you look at Dante Fowler's. I mean, I think he's clearly attempting to do the right thing there. And you can obviously have an opinion on if it was a good call or bad call, but you could see that our players are really trying to do it the right way.
Eagles, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. The signing of Seth Green to the practice squad, is that more indicative of heightened concern on Dalton Schultz, or because you have multiple guys in that unit that are banged up?
I think a little bit of that, but also I just think it's part of the process too. I mean, I think Will McClay and the personnel department, they do an excellent job. I mean, we've actually been talking about Seth for quite some time. So you look at these you look at these things, and I thought he had a really good workout yesterday. So I'm excited to see him today out there. But it's just development of young players. I mean, I don't think you can do enough of it.
Back on the roughing the passer thing briefly, what do you think about the idea of making it reviewable?
I'd be for it. Yeah, I'd be for it. I think, just my opinion, I think clearly, you look at the big penalties in the game, I think any foul 15 yards or more should be reviewable. That would be my choice. I just think those type of plays are impactful. They can swing a game. They can swing the field position. But, there's obviously a process, and there's a lot of debate that goes into it. There's a lot of analytics that goes into these things and so forth. I get it. I've been part of some of those meetings in the past, but I think it's when it becomes very, very difficult for the players to try to do it right, and they're still being penalized. That's a huge challenge.
This was not going to be my question, but I'll have a follow-up. But along those lines, Belichick wants everything to be reviewable. Would you be in favor of that? I know you're not. competition committee?
No, yeah, I've heard Bill talk about it at the league meetings, and it's, makes way too much sense. But, but I also understand the other side of the conversation. So, and I think, as we move along, we have the resources are clearly better today than they were 10 years ago. We all recognize that, and I'd be for the advancement of using those resources.
The question, a follow-up kind of on Dan Quinn, obviously defensive line coach. Some people have concern with the D-line coach being the coordinator. Do they know the back end well enough? So was that something that you kind of, I don't want to say investigated, but you had a discussion?
I've competed against Dan for a long time. I mean, I've called a game against Dan as a coordinator in Seattle. I'm going back through the history. I think that's a very fair question to ask early in their career, the first time they become, that, but it definitely not at Dan's experience level and in his pedigree, what he's done in the past. And I think just clearly look at the defense, he's coordinated today compared to, the one in Atlanta compared to the one in Seattle. So, I mean, it's vastly different, and, that speaks to him and his staff.
Mike, would Dak only be active if he's fully healthy, gone through a full week of practice and going to start a game? Or could you see a circumstance where he might be active and available in backup capacity?
Really, I mean, I get the questions, but, until we move through this, this phase that we're in, I can't really give you a clear answer. I mean, frankly, I'm going to see him throw today. That's where my head's at.
When you look back at your entire experience as an NFL head coach, even before here, can you think of any examples of going up against a fairly unique opponent and the scout team gave such a look that it made a real tangible difference?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've had C.J. Goldman play quarterback in the past. I mean, we've had Cedric Wilson play quarterback in the past. So, I mean, we've done it here. And but, I think, Will has played in this type of offense, in college, at West Virginia. So I think he'll do an excellent job.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Thank you.